It turns out some people really do honor a marriage proposal by dedicating 8 full years of their youth to keeping that promise. His fiancée Mai fell into a vegetative state, and though everyone told him to move on, he visited the wedding venue every year to push their reservation back by 12 months. He kept postponing it for 8 whole years. The hotel manager watched this increasingly gaunt man and wanted to say something but held her tongue time and again. She'd worked in hospitality for over a decade and seen countless couples cancel for all sorts of reasons, but she'd never encountered anyone like him. And this obsession that kept him holding on for 8 years all started at a college mixer, where Hisashi, an introverted guy, sat huddled in a corner looking pale from sudden stomach pain, completely out of place amid the partying crowd. His standoffish vibe caught one girl's attention right away. Every time her gaze swept past Hisashi, she rolled her eyes without hiding it, her face screaming annoyance. At first, Hisashi didn't pay it any mind, figuring she was just having a bad day, but soon he realized her irritation seemed aimed squarely at him. When the party finally wrapped up, all Hisashi wanted was to go home and lie down, but that girl stormed after him and blocked his path right there. She thought Hisashi's reaction made it seem like he saw Mai as some easy target, and she was seriously ticked off about it. Mai's interrogation left the already awkward Hisashi completely flustered and speechless. He scrambled to apologize, but Mai wasn't buying it, convinced he was just brushing her off. With no other option, Hisashi quietly admitted the truth, explaining he'd simply been dealing with a stomachache, and hearing that explanation changed everything in an instant. Learning the truth left Mai stunned, and past the embarrassment, a spark of curiosity about this guy began to grow. So just as Hisashi thought the misunderstanding was cleared and turned to board the train, Mai ran back and pressed a hand warmer into his palm. The train pulled slowly away from the platform. Outside the window, Mai waved energetically, her smile shining as bright as winter sunshine. In that moment, Hisashi felt struck by something extraordinary, falling hopelessly for this one-of-a-kind girl. Their connection sparked right from that comical mix-up. Hisashi is a total social anxiety case who shrinks back from everything, while Mai is lively and outgoing with endless stories to tell, and being with her cracked open a whole new world for him. When they hit a trendy restaurant with no open tables, Hisashi instinctively wanted to bail and go somewhere else, but Mai confidently asked strangers if they could share a table, showing him for the first time that life could be lived with such bold spontaneity. Mai works as a chef, and whenever the kitchen slows down, she whips up special dishes just for Hisashi using whatever ingredients are on hand. Before long, Mai brought Hisashi home to meet her folks, who were just as warm and welcoming as she was, easing his nerves almost instantly. On Christmas Day, they stayed in, watching movies and enjoying good food together. Mai gifted him a scarf she'd knitted herself, patiently teaching him every way to tie it. Looking at this gentle girl in front of him, Hisashi overflowed with happiness, feeling like winning her heart was a blessing, lifetimes in the making. He couldn't help but lean in for a kiss, but his nerves got the better of him and caused a clumsy little mishap. Hisashi works at an auto repair shop. It's not exactly glamorous work, but Mai never looked down on it. Whenever she got off early, she'd bring him a bento box and sit quietly watching him toil away covered in grease. That unspoken companionship and support gave Hisashi a joy he'd never known before. A joy so deep, he couldn't wait to keep this girl by his side forever. One ordinary evening, he summoned every ounce of courage to propose. No fancy speeches, just the most sincere promise he could offer. Tears streamed down Mai's face as she watched Hisashi slide the ring onto her finger, and she couldn't find a single reason to say no. On the walk home, they happened to pass a church hosting a romantic wedding ceremony. Mai's eyes lit up with envy and longing as she confessed that every time she walked by, she dreamed of the day she'd be the bride. Now that dream was finally coming true. Spotting the hotel manager at the entrance, Hisashi rushed right up to book their wedding date without hesitation. After checking the system, the manager let them know. The earliest opening was March 17th. In Japanese tradition, that date isn't considered particularly lucky, but Hisashi booked it on the spot without a second thought because it marked the exact day he and Mai first met, making it the only perfect date for them. And suddenly life felt filled with sweet anticipation. On a day off, Hisashi sorted through photos from their trips, each one capturing a moment of pure bliss. Then Mai dropped a comment that left him completely baffled. "We never ate this, and we never went to that waterfall." Everything in those photos looked like blank, unfamiliar voids to Mai. A splitting headache hit her as she insisted she'd never been to those places, even wondering if she was losing her mind. Seeing Mai on the verge of breaking down, Hisashi knew something was seriously wrong and decided to take her to the hospital immediately. But right then, things took a terrifying turn as Mai started screaming, her body thrashing wildly out of control. She shrieked in horror that her skin was crawling with swarms of bugs, gnawing at her flesh bit by bit. She tore frantically at her own skin, her eyes wide with bottomless despair and terror. No amount of hysterical crying could shake the horrifying hallucinations gripping her. Hisashi had no choice but to restrain her and rush her to the hospital. Mai acted nothing like herself the entire way. terrifying every bystander they passed. After hours of emergency treatment, Mai's heart stopped beating at one point, and though doctors managed to pull her back from the brink, her condition didn't improve. Seizures struck repeatedly, racking her body with violent, uncontrollable convulsions. Each episode looked like absolute torture. Finally, the doctors delivered the diagnosis. Mai had contracted an extremely rare form of encephalitis, striking only 1 in 3 million people. The virus had attacked her brain, plunging her into a deep coma with little chance of ever waking up, leaving her in a vegetative state. This sudden catastrophe didn't make Hisashi back down. From that day forward, the hospital became his second home, and he showed up faithfully after every shift to massage Mai's limbs and talk to her. He bought a phone and started documenting his daily life in videos, day after day. He believed with all his heart that Mai would wake up someday. He wanted her to know that while she slept, he hadn't disappeared from the world or abandoned her. Friends and co-workers couldn't fathom his dedication, urging him to let go and stop putting his own life on hold. But Hisashi refused to give up, certain that Mai would open her eyes again one day. When the hotel manager heard the news, she reached out to offer a full refund and cancel the wedding reservation. But Hisashi's answer floored her. Not only was he keeping the booking, he insisted on holding March 17th. To him, this wedding had become far more than just a ceremony. It was the faith and hope keeping him going. He couldn't stop wondering, what if Mai woke up on that very day? Imagine how devastated she'd be to find out the wedding had been called off. As days turned into months, Mai's parents juggled work and family obligations, leaving nearly all of her care resting squarely on Hisashi's shoulders. Whenever Mai convulsed violently and moaned in pain, this normally quiet man transformed, gripping her hand tight and shouting encouragement, promising her everything would be okay and that he wasn't going anywhere. Commuting 4 times a day between the shop and the hospital finally pushed Hisashi's beat-up motorcycle past its limit, and it broke down mid-route. Yet he still smiled and pulled out his phone to capture the moment. He told the camera he'd fix the bike and head straight to the hospital. Mai's parents witnessed everything Hisashi sacrificed during this time, and they couldn't bear to watch this young man lose his future. Through tears, they begged him to leave and live his own life.
前は本当にいい人と巡り合ったと思ってるわ。あなたみたいな人が家族になってくれたら嬉しい。もう忘れてください。
But Hisashi rejected the idea without hesitation. He reminded them he was Mai's fiancé, set to marry her on March 17th, and as long as she drew breath, that vow stood firm. Time marched on relentlessly, the view outside shifting from lush green to snow-covered white as seasons cycled endlessly. The only constant was Hisashi's unwavering vigil, even as friends around him married, had kids, and moved into new chapters. Hisashi attended their weddings and offered genuine congratulations, feeling no bitterness because he knew in his bones he'd walk down that aisle with Mai someday too. This unshakable love seemed to truly move the heavens. One ordinary afternoon, Mai miraculously opened her eyes, and though her stare was vacant and unfocused, it was enough to send Hisashi over the moon with joy. But the doctor's assessment quickly doused that celebration with cold water. Mai hadn't fully recovered. Her brain had suffered severe, irreversible damage. She was essentially reborn as an infant, with all memories, cognition, and life skills wiped clean. She'd have to relearn who she was and rebuild her connection to the world from scratch. Whether her memories would return, or to what extent, remained a complete mystery. But for Hisashi, this was already the best news imaginable. When word reached the auto shop, his co-workers erupted in thunderous applause for him. That wave of support warmed his heart, reminding him he'd never been alone in this grueling battle against illness. Sometime later, Hisashi pushed Mai's wheelchair outside for a stroll. As he knelt before her and softly called her name, those empty eyes focused for the first time, as if she actually recognized the person in front of her. Seasons turned once more, and Mai transferred to a rehab hospital to begin the long, grueling road to recovery. With tireless support from Hisashi and her parents, Mai fought hard too, throwing herself into every rehabilitation exercise. From learning to shake hands, to shakily walking while clutching railings, to picking up a pen and utensils again, her mental capacity and motor skills slowly climbed upward from the level of a 1-year-old. One day, familiar music played on TV, and Mai unconsciously started humming along. Because Hisashi stayed glued to her side constantly, his name became the very first word she learned after waking up. Years slipped by, and Mai's intellect returned to normal levels, yet her memory remained a total blank slate. She had no idea who this man accompanying her daily was, but for reasons she couldn't explain, her heart kept drifting toward him. Hisashi existed as someone both intimately familiar and utterly strange. She'd lost every memory of him, yet somehow fell for him all over again. They started dating anew, just like a couple meeting for the first time. When people asked how they met, Mai drew a complete blank and could only look helplessly at her mom. Hisashi would jump in with a smile, retelling the story of their first encounter. But no matter how vividly he painted those beautiful moments, not a single image surfaced in Mai's mind. She remembered her parents and her home address, but everything about this man felt like a formatted hard drive with zero recoverable data.
結婚約束してたって言われてもでも思い出せないし
None of that bothered Hisashi. After surviving hardships 100 times worse together, what obstacle couldn't they overcome now? Since Mai desperately wanted to understand their shared past, Hisashi poured out every story and detail behind those photos without holding anything back. Like a diligent student, Mai meticulously recorded everything in a notebook, terrified of forgetting again. While Hisashi worked, she'd ask her mom to take her to every date spot listed in those notes, but the results were always disappointing, with no location triggering any buried memories. Mai began to feel their story might require personal experience to unlock. So she secretly set off on a solo journey to reclaim her lost past, but her efforts proved futile once again. The harder she strained to remember, the emptier her mind became, and that helplessness caused her agonizing pain. She longed to return to yesterday, only to find the door locked tight and the key forever lost. When Hisashi found Mai completely broken, he finally grasped that he no longer represented sweet love to her, but rather a heavy burden of lost history she couldn't bear. His mere presence served as a constant reminder of her missing memories, trapping her in endless guilt and suffering, and he feared pushing further might trigger a relapse. Sometimes loving someone means accepting you don't get to stay together. Letting go can be its own profound act of love. In the end, Hisashi made the heartbreaking choice to vanish from Mai's world entirely, giving her the freedom to start fresh without that weight. Right before leaving town, he decided to make one last attempt. He took Mai back to the hilltop where they'd once stargazed and where he'd proposed. Yet facing that familiar vista, Mai's eyes held nothing but confusion, confirming to Hisashi that it was truly time to walk away. He told Mai he hoped she'd live bravely, urging her to stop forcing memories, since her safe recovery was already heaven's greatest gift.
だからもう会うのはやめる
After dropping Mai off, Hisashi whispered his final goodbye, but he hadn't driven far, before he crumbled completely, pulling over to let the tears flood out. This resilient man who'd stood by his fiancée through 8 years of hell without flinching, finally broke under the weight of it all. He could defy fate to save Mai, but he couldn't share the rest of her life. The heartbreak was unbearable, yet entirely unavoidable. After Hisashi left, Mai's life gradually settled into peace, freed from the crushing pressure to recall the past. Her condition improved greatly, though she couldn't shake the feeling that something vital was missing from her soul. And when she dug out her old pre-illness phone, no amount of guessing unlocked the password. Time jumped forward again, marking a full 8 years since they'd first set their wedding date. Mai achieved miracle after miracle in rehab, eventually rising from her wheelchair to take steps entirely on her own. Meanwhile, Hisashi took a job at a seaside auto shop, living a solitary existence. His heart remained so completely filled with Mai that no one else could ever enter. He often stared at the ocean lost in thought, imagining Mai rising from her chair and walking toward him with a smile. But waking from that dream left only hollow emptiness behind. One day while shopping with her mom, Mai passed by that wedding hotel. The manager recognized Mai instantly and warmly ushered her inside. Right there, Mai finally uncovered the secret Hisashi had guarded for 8 years. The manager revealed that every single year, he'd returned to postpone their wedding reservation to the next March 17th. Even today, March 17th remained reserved exclusively for them. Those digits, 0317, struck like a key, instantly unlocking Mai's sealed memories. Trembling, she pulled out that old phone and typed 0317 into the lock screen. As she hit confirm, the phone unlocked, and the floodgates to her trapped memories burst wide open. The glowing screen greeted her with happy photos of them together. Then came a tidal wave of 526 unread messages. These were the thoughts and worries Hisashi had sent her every single day throughout her 8-year coma. Every email chronicled the minutiae of her illness, and every video carried this man's boundless devotion and fathomless love. Only in that moment did Mai truly comprehend the weight of this love, a devotion that transcended both time and oblivion. She finally understood that Hisashi letting go wasn't abandonment, but a love so deep, he sacrificed himself to grant her peace. Without wasting a second, Mai refused to make this man wait any longer. Using the address from his emails, she raced desperately toward the man who'd loved her with his very life. When Mai finally spotted that familiar silhouette at the seaside repair shop, both froze in place. He moved to approach, but Mai called out to stop him.
私が行くから待ってて
Mai strode firmly toward Hisashi, knowing full well that across this short distance, he had silently walked alone for 8 years.
ずっと待ってくれてた信じてくれてそばにいてくれてそれでもいい久志さんのこともう一度好きになったから
Hisashi bent down and embraced his reclaimed love tightly, voicing the words he'd held in his heart for 8 long years.
俺はずっと好きでした。
In the end, they finally walked into the wedding hall on March 17th, with Mai in white advancing step by step toward Hisashi, completing a ceremony 8 years overdue. And this film isn't some fabricated fairy tale. It's based on the real-life story of a Japanese couple. The real Mai and Hisashi not only tied the knot but also welcomed a child together, turning an 8-year odyssey of love into a lifetime partnership. Finishing this story leaves us reflecting deeply. What kind of love sustains someone through 3,000 days of waiting and torment? Perhaps love isn't grand declarations, but quiet, everyday acts of guardianship. It's the light that stays with you in darkness, the hand that keeps holding yours when everyone else says give up. This world may be flawed, rife with suffering and parting, yet moments of such magnificent sincerity remind us to believe in life and love again. Trust that someone is out there fighting through thorns and crossing oceans just to reach your side, because nobody is an island and there's always a light burning just for you. I'm your recap host Tianjin. Catch you in the next movie.